Hello, my name is Richard Peterson on behalf of the California Film Institute and the Mill Valley Film Festival. Welcome to this Q&A with the film The Last Bus. We have here the director of the film, Scottish director Gillies MacKinnon, who's done many different films. A few of the films include Hideous, Kinky, Pure, The Playboys, and several others. Also, Timothy Spall, who is a very ubiquitous British character actor. Among the films that he has appeared in include The King's Speech. He was Peter Pettigrew in the Harry Potter films. I'm sure he'll be remembered by many people for that. But one of the I guess one of the special aspects of his career is this association, his long association with director Mike Leigh. And that involved films like Secrets and Lies, and in 2014, Mr. Turner, where Timothy Spall played the English painter J.M.W. Turner. He won the Best Actor Award at the Cannes Film Festival. This was a very exciting prospect. And I think one of the probably the spectacular highlights of your career, wouldn't it be, Timothy?
Oh, undoubtedly, yeah. No, it was a big moment for me. It was about 30 years I'd been working with Mike Leigh, and it's always we built up a very special relationship, and this was something that was a big moment, because it being historical and the way that Mike Leigh works, you have to put in so much research, and you make up the film during the process of that over a period of about 6 or 7 months. I was also researching it for 2 or 3 years and learning to paint and so on and so forth. So it was a big deal, and so it was a blessed relief when it turned out to be not only a film that I'm very pleased with, but also other people who watched it. So, you never know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter the amount you put in, you never know how it's going to turn out. That's one of the wonderful hazards and beauties of being in the world we are.
Now, Gillies, you were talking to us from your home in is it Glasgow?
No, it's actually Norfolk in Britain, not Norfolk in the United States. Now, I've got a cottage up here in Norfolk, so it's very sunny and it's lovely.
And Timothy, you were talking to us from a boat?
I'm on a boat. Yeah, I'm on my boat.
So where are you about to head off to someplace, or you were about?
Well, I'm in a place called Ramsgate in Kent, which is on the south coast of the UK, about 80 miles from London. It's if you were to come out at the end of the Thames and head as if you're going to France and turn right, it's just around the corner. That's where I am.
Now the film itself, it has to do with travel, although it's not on a boat. It's on buses. So it's a bus tour of I think from the top of the northerly tip of Scotland to England's most southerly position, Land's End, I believe, and that sort of creates the terrain for the story of this man who is taking a trip in tribute to his wife. Can you talk a little bit about how this story came to you? Maybe that starts with Gillies, and how then it went to Timothy.
Well, we have this peculiar thing. I don't know, maybe you have something in America like this, but what happens is at a certain age, I think it's about 60, or maybe it's 65 anyway, people can get a free bus pass. which means that they can travel anywhere in Britain, a certain hour certainly, on a free bus pass. So it started with the writer Joe. His father and his father-in-law kind of like celebrated the free bus pass thing by taking the elaborate journeys. And he wrote it down, he says, he scribbled this down and left it in his shed for quite a long time while it just kind of like played away in his brain. And then one day, suddenly the film just kind of popped out, you know, that he was going to make this film about this very elderly man who makes use of his bus pass, but for a very particular reason. And that's the origin. Then it came to me as a script, basically. I mean, obviously, I met with Joe and we talked, and I had my input, as one does as a director, but it's essentially Joe's script. And then I was in Turin. I was on the jury at Turin Film Festival. I got wind of the fact that Tim was in a room somewhere, in a social room, and I kind of like hunted him down. I walked straight up to him. I remember this very vividly, and it was almost as if he was expecting me. We had this kind of conversation, and I was on to the producers, and I said, "Look, I think this is what we need to do." So that's how I think that's the first Tim knew about it. Maybe you knew about it before. I can't remember.
No, it was literally there because it was very early on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
As far as even the finance and everything was concerned, so it was an early thing. And as I say, Gillies, and I mean, it's funny you should say I was expecting you. I wasn't really, but when I met you, I thought, Gillies looks like he's got something on his mind. And as far as I've been met, and then I was delighted to hear that you had this fascinating proposal.
You had not worked together before over the years.
No,
never.
No, we didn't actually, but it's peculiar how that works, how you sort of miss or cross, and then one day something happens, I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah, Timothy is quite a bit younger than the character in the movie. How did he occur to you so quickly in terms of the cast?
It was his character. I mean, the thing is, of course, I was aware of him being a lot younger than the character. Of course I was. And that would be an initial reservation, because it was my wife who first said, why don't you think about Timothy Spall? And my first reaction was, well, I think I'm pretty sure he's in his early 60s, and that's way off the age. Mm-hmm. But I very quickly got over that, because I don't know why, but then somehow or other I was watching him in a Sally Potter movie. That was the one I was trying to remember, Tim. And I was watching him. Yeah, I was watching him in that film, and I was thinking, there's something really different about Tim Spall here that's just another thing I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. It was that movie. And then when I met him, I don't know, I just sort of thought, look, it's a matter of trust. We can get there somehow. And in the end, it was a combination of Tim's kind of research into how to get the physicality of this old man, how he researched it, how he kind of had the intuitions about what to do, and a very, very good makeup person. Because, in a different film with a different budget, Tim would probably have been in that chair for 3 hours in the morning. But you weren't in that chair for that long, in fact, in the mornings. Maybe half an hour.
No, it was just a wig, really, and then just skin tones. No prosthetics or anything like that. And I think I knew that would be and I was relieved that was the way we proceeded, because when I played Turner and I aged, be it 76, 78, I did that when I was, in my mid-50s. We did the same there. And I think it's down to all, character acting is trying to empathize and put yourself in the physical and mental state of somebody else. Now, they could be from a different class, a different background, a different planet even, or a different age group. So it's about thinking and entering and trying to embody that thing rather than in some way bolt it on. And I think that if you can do that with a minimal but clever amount of makeup, if you're in any way, half onto what the character's about, it informs what it is. It's inherent in the text what his life is in. So it's all a matter of just characterizing. As I say, you can play many, many different, characters. It's just another form of character acting, playing somebody older rather than somebody 50 times fitter or even 20 years younger than you. It's just the way it goes.
It was striking to me. The physicality of your role was very impressive to me. I mean, there were several times that I was, watch out, please be careful, Yeah.
No, that's because it occurred to me a long, long time ago when I was a younger actor as well, much younger actor, and just watching old people about how perspective on life changes so much, how vulnerable one becomes when one feels frailer. I mean, he's got a very strong, brave spirit, this character, but he's very aware that he's physically weak. I mean, I just remember watching as a kid being, why is that old person looking at that curb way, trying to get from the road to the walkway? I thought, why are they pausing there? Why are they kicking that bit of litter off because I think that looks ridiculous. But then it dawned on me that curb, stepping up from the road to the sidewalk or pavement as we call it, that's like climbing the Eiger or the Sierra Nevada to an old person in their 90s. A piece of paper is like a bear trap. To us, it's a piece of paper. To them, that's a potential slip hazard. You slip on a piece of paper when you're 90, you break your hip, you never come out of hospital.
Gillies, did you have any particular input into that kind of performance?
It's a funny thing. I was thinking just earlier today when I was thinking through this, how much did Tim and I actually talk about this? And I thought, it's peculiar. I don't think we did very much at all. I mean, he showed me physically what he could do, and we talked about things, but I don't remember us, for example, talking about what scene do we do today and how are we going to deal with this scene. And that's what I remember it being. But then I also remembered that I was banned from the makeup truck by the makeup artist, Christine Kant. She came to me confidentially, Tim, when you weren't there, and told me, don't do it anymore. You come in every morning, you take up all my time, you talk for 40 minutes to Tim. So I think I was coming in the morning and I was talking to you were talking to me much more than I realised, because in my memory, we didn't talk at all.
No, so she could give you the bum's rush. She kicked you out. I didn't know that. No. Yes. But I think, I think we quickly, pretty soon, that we got a kind of, not a telepathy, but an understanding what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes if I would then, subsequently, if I would say to you, what about this, what about that, I'm thinking of this, you'd say, all right, well, just show me. And I'd do it. Or I'd say, and you say, well, show me. I say, well, yeah, I'm just talking it out because I'm throwing it out there. And it would only be 3 or 4 sentences. And then we'd do it. And you felt it either worked or it didn't. And I would feel it was either right from the inside or not. I never watched playback, so I wasn't watching that. I don't ever watch playback. It was always from the inside with me. And so I was, so it felt like Gillies and I knew we were pulling on the same rope, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny because that is how I remember it. And then I remember the other detail about how it was.
Yeah, well, she doesn't mince her words.
So the character Tom, who makes the journey, he encounters, and this I think I want to ask Gillies, he encounters basically a whole kind of multicultural display of contemporary Britain. He reacts very well to it. He's very, he's not He's not somebody who's afraid of change or anything like that, or projects any of that. He's very open to all of the people he meets. But that does seem to be a very significant part of the film.
Well, the way I look at it is that this is a very old man who's kind of got nothing to lose now. I mean, he's totally honest. You know, there is no self-delusion going on in his encounters with people. He's not somebody who has an axe to grind. You know, he's like, I'm standing up against this racist and to protect this woman who, you know, that's not what he's doing. I just think he just reacts in a very human way and in a very decent way to everything that happens. And in a very honest way. That was what I kept in my mind all the time, that everything he does has an honesty to it. I mean, when he is remembering, you know, very, very kind of sad things, and he looks up and he sees that crucifix on the wall. And you know, that was Tim's idea, to just go, all right. And I thought it was inspired, because it's like, it doesn't mean he's a Christian. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means he takes all that on board. I mean, that's the way I felt about it anyway. There's an honesty and an openness in everything that he does, this man.
Did you feel that, Tim? Was that something?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the fact that he is moribund and he knows it, and the film reveals that he's not got long. I also think that amplifies that quality in him. I think he is a man of simple decency, and he's also a man of great intent, because he's got this quest, this last-minute quest. But yes, I think there's a quiet decency, an old-fashioned decency, and I think some of the things do surprise him, because he has been locked away up in John O'Groats. And by the way, that's a saying in the UK. I don't know if you have it in the States, Land's End to John O'Groats. It's something people say. My God, it's like getting from Land's End to John O'Groats. It's the furthest you can go on one island and on our island. But I think I do think there's a fearlessness in him and a quiet sort of something about him that also makes people feel comfortable with him, and also to a certain degree drawn to him, because he's, as Gillies quite rightly said, there's a fearlessness that is not in any way proactive, but there's something about him that people either can ignore him and say, oh, he's a frail old man, but they don't. There's something about him. He is one of those guys that's at a moment in his life, the end of his life, where he finds himself where he does and reacts accordingly. And that's a bit of stating the obvious, but it's a surprising thing for him. I think he was expecting the journey to be more straightforward. He gets knocked off his rails, and therefore he is taught to, in this last 5 days of his life, burst into life again, which is another thing. You know, he comes to life as he's dying.
Yeah, if I can just add on to that, because I think what Tim's talking about right now is really important to the film, and the way that I would put it is that this man, he really plans this journey. I mean, really meticulously plans a reconstruction of the journey from the south to the north that happened at the beginning of his life when he was a young man. And now he's actually revisiting and he's retracing he plans it meticulously, and he has reasons for doing it. He has 2 principal reasons for doing this. So there's also an aim in view. But the thing that he doesn't know about, or doesn't seem to realize, is it's not just a journey from A to B to get to Z. He's actually on an encounter. You know, he's about to encounter life and be challenged. He's about to be brought back to life in the last days of his life, if you like, you know. He's about to rediscover life, because he didn't think about that. He just kind of thought, I'll get here, I'll get there, I'll get here, I'll get there, and eventually I'll do this and I'll do that. But that's not what happens. What happens is that he encounters life again in a way that he hadn't imagined. And that was always, to me, what was really kind of moving about this story that Joe wrote.
Yes, it seems to me that, there were, I guess, a one-word description that one could make of the character, I think one of the words is compassion, that I think he shows for everyone he meets. He has compassion for, and it is in a way kind of a lesson for all of us, I think, because the film contains that to embrace life, to embrace others with compassion.
But we mustn't leave out the irascibility also.
Irascibility makes it fun, makes it an interesting film.
Yeah. I mean, he has got this goal, and he's got this aching desire to. And I don't want to do any spoilers here. I'm presuming people have seen the film when they get this aching desire, obviously to give her back to where they're from, into the sea at Land's End in Cornwall. But in a sense, more importantly, the thing that joined right from their early life, and the thing that also in equal measure separated something and created an elephant in the room that they could never fully lay to rest, was the death of their child. Yeah. And he, I think, always knew that if they were able to go back and confront this thing, it would release them. It would release them, and it would release this agony. Obviously, agony would never go, but I think he feels it's an unpierced boil that he needs to go and lay the ghost of this. So going to that grave is as important, if not more, in a sense, getting rid of her ashes. It's something that he needed to do for the pair of them, to say, look, this is what we are doing. We have accepted it now. This is what we are now doing. So we can all, it doesn't have to be Christian, we can all lay to rest, we can all maybe rejoin, who knows what he's singing. But I think that is important. That is a very important thing. And of course, that's his determination. But he's encountering all this, the vagaries and the different vicissitudes of his journey. These incredible things that are, he knows he's going, but are in a sense determining him to get on with it, and also determines him to be, as Gillies said, fearless in what he's prepared to do. Like embracing that young girl who's crying, and standing up for the girl in the burqa being harassed. These things are just amplifications of a condition that he's in, enhanced by his illness, his decency, and his desire to. And that's why he's irascible. He doesn't want to be held up, but he's prepared. He wants to get on with it, and that's why he's a bit grumpy and a little bit cantankerous at times, because he knows he's only got a few days,
Yeah. Yes. So I wanted to ask Gillies that the movie has a very sympathetic view, a very positive view of social media, and that definitely comes in a great part at the end of the film, but. That is a very optimistic view of social media, wouldn't you say?
Well, I mean, that's entirely Joe's doing. I would find it hard to make any kind of comment myself about social media in that respect. That's something that Joe brought into it, and we just took on board. I suppose it would be. Yes, I mean, it does work a bit like that, doesn't it? That people pick up on something that touches them, and then they spread the word, and everybody becomes part of his journey somehow.
Yeah. So I
mean, if it wasn't for social media, we probably wouldn't be doing this, would we? These things have all been born out of that kind of new technology. We certainly wouldn't be able to have this conversation. So this is a very positive thing.
Right. Can I ask Timothy if I know that Mike Leigh's films, there's a certain kind of rehearsal process that is unique to his films. Has that influenced you in your life as an actor?
Oh, most definitely. It makes me feel unrehearsed in a lot of other stuff. So, but it also makes me feel duty bound to research and think about it a lot, about what's going on underneath. What's the background? I often think about, you know, part of it is going back to what the person is like a child, right from the point they're born. So I always think, particularly if you're playing unpalatable characters, it's nice to, or characters that are perceived as unpalatable, it's nice to try and remember what they were like as an innocent, as a babe in arms. And all these things that are, you know, a given when you work with Mike Leigh about the intricacies and the absolute painstaking, you know, attention to detail. You have to do a lot of homework, because there's a difference between 5 months rehearsal and, if you're lucky, 5 days on a normal movie, sometimes 5 hours. So, you know, you've got to get on with it, do your homework, you know? And that's what it's taught me.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add about the film, Gillies? Anything you would like to say about the film?
Well, I mean, there are probably thousands of things, you know, because it's a very complicated and long process making a movie from the outset to the end. Oh, yeah, there's one lovely little touch, which was that the chap who was involved with the transport and organising the transport asked me if I would listen to his 16-year-old granddaughter's songs, which she would recorded in her bedroom. And this kind of thing happens to you a lot when you're making films, you know. So I said, yeah, sure thing. So I listened to them, and I don't know, I just thought, I feel this belongs in the film. I sent it off to the editor. She dropped them in. She loved them. I sent it to the producers. They agreed. Tim came into the cutting room. He agreed. And I just thought, this is just one of these magical things that happen sometimes. So young Caitlin, 16-year-old Caitlin, who busks in Glasgow streets, is now all over the press in Scotland. And she's in the film.
Wonderful.
So, and Timothy, you wouldn't mind if we just stayed on your boat and rowed with you?
Yeah, well, you'll have to row with it. It's a great big diesel engine under here. I'm going to try and have a discussion with it so it doesn't spoil the environment.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for the conversation, and good luck with the film.
Well, thank you very much. It was in the COVID fridge for a long time after we made it, you know, with COVID.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The fridge door shut for about a year there, so I'm so happy it's open now and the film is moving, you know.
So it was shot before the pandemic. It was.
We finished it. I mean, I finished it literally on about a day before. I think everything closed down. And then, of course, nothing happened for about a year, and that was horrible. So it's just lovely now that it's coming out and it's on the cinemas and it's going to different countries, you know?
Yeah, no, that's terrific. And we look forward to seeing more films from you, Gillies, and also more films from you, Timothy. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a lovely
Nice to talk to you. Nice to talk to you. Bye-bye.